Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is Sever7, and today we are taking a look at the Jack Wolf Knives Tango. That's with the ultimate goal of seeing if it's worth adding to your collection or your daily carry rotation. Now, this knife did come to me from Titanium Justin. He's loaning it to me, and I super appreciate that, so shout out to him. I'll have his channel linked down in the description. This was designed by Chris Ortiz of Cerberus Knives, and this is part of the Jack Wolf collaboration series, or Kollab with a K series. The OEM is undisclosed, so nobody knows the OEM for Jack Wolf except for Jack Wolf and the OEM. They know who they are. Now, jumping right into it, we've got this sunburst milling pattern that looks very nice, very understated and elegant. We have this beautiful bronzing on all of the hardware, thumb studs included. Just gives it a very classy look as well. Deep carry, milled titanium pocket clip. I believe, well, maybe it's reversible. No, it's not reversible. All right, I'm an idiot, sorry. Yeah, not reversible. But maybe, no, it's not. Okay. But yeah, I mean, it looks absolutely fantastic on the outside. Very simple, very understated. We have the Jack Wolf logo right there, which I would rather have than not have because I think it looks super cool. And wolves are my favorite animal. Bruh, I'm kind of edgy. You know what I'm saying? No, that's not me. Still love wolves though. Let's go ahead and take a look at the ergonomics. So nothing too crazy. I mean, it's going to curve into our hand nicely. We have one suggestion spot, not enough room to choke up here, and then relatively neutral, for the rest of the handle. So I wear a large size glove. I can get 4 fingers. I can get my thumb all the way out here. Feels good, nice and slicey. I can feel the pocket clip, not a hot spot. I mean, if I bear down, like if I, you see I'm white knuckling it, if I white knuckle it, I can feel it. So if you're gonna be going to town with this thing, really pushing its limits, then you might feel the pocket clip. I wouldn't even say a hot spot, I'd say like a warm spot. But overall, ergonomically, quite comfortable. Now, as far as the blade goes, we have a, looks like a compound, ooh, wait a minute. Okay, yeah. It's a compound drop point blade. We have this beautiful, like actually stunning belt satin with a hollow grind. We have a, ooh, okay, I'm gonna say we have a, okay, that's too close to call. I'm not entirely sure if it's a hollow or if it's a flat. Because it feels like a flat. Or rather, it feels like a hollow. No, it's a flat. Okay, there we go. I'll get my life together. We have the belt satin continued on this very handsome swedge. And these grind lines are insane. Very good looking blade. Now this is CPM S90V, so I mean that's going to be good for edge retention. I mean it's fine at the other things, but mostly for edge retention. Let's talk about this action a little bit. Ugh. Yeah, I think the action kind of speaks for itself. Super snappy on the flick. Listen to the sound whenever I disengage. Oh, so satisfying. And then the drop. Yeah. It does need a little, like the tiniest amount of encouragement. If this were my knife, I would take it apart, Make sure that the bearings weren't stuck in any way. Lube it up, close it back up, and then I promise we would have complete and total controlled hydraulic action. It's so close to there. Now, I will say one thing about this knife as far as the action goes. With most knives, let me use this. With most knives that have thumb studs, you can push straight up and they'll deploy. With this one, you cannot do that. You cannot push this one straight up because it's not going to go anywhere and it's just going to hurt. Not because the blade popped out, but because I wasn't pushing straight up there. So if I push straight up, I just don't get anywhere. You have to push this way. You have to do an up and an out. If you do that, it's crazy smooth. But there have been one or two times where I just caught this trying to push straight up, and it just, because of the studs are smaller and they do have texturing, which is a good thing because that means you can grip onto it easier. I'll make sure you guys can see that. But since they're smaller, they're not poking if you successfully deploy the blade the way you're supposed to. But if you're like me and you go to engage it the wrong way by pushing straight up on it, it's going to dig into your finger and it's going to hurt a lot. So something to keep in mind. That's not a flaw with the knife. That's a flaw with the user, in this case me. But it's still something to note, because if you go at this and try to, flick it out by pushing straight up like you can do with most knives, you're not going to get anywhere. So it has to be like an over and out, and then it's perfect. Oh yeah. See, they jimped it up and around. Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, this knife is so addicting. If I was employed, I would buy this off of them in a heartbeat because I love this. All right, let's get some specs out of the way. Overall length is 6.97 inches, so just shy of 7 inches. Blade is 3.02. Blade to handle ratio is 0.76 or 76%. And the weight is 2.5 ounces, which is actually really impressive. It's lighter than I thought it was. Let me just double check that really quick. Hang tight. No, my scale says 3. So we'll assume that the website's wrong, and we're going to say it's 3 ounces. And an ounce per inch is good enough, let alone having like a whole half an ounce less than inches per blade. Or rather, yeah, you get what I'm saying. So, do some size comparisons. First is going to be the milled aluminum Civivi Brazen. Third best Civivi ever made, next to the Visions. And we're going to not count the glass breaker because that's not functional length. And we are still coming in about an inch and some change over the Tango. Let's go ahead and bust out the real steel Sylph. And it looks like that one is coming in maybe a third of an inch bigger. And then budget knife of the year so far, the Migron Gotov. And that one is coming in slightly under, maybe a third of an inch shorter. So overall, it's not a full-size knife, but at 6.97, we're basically at 7 inches. I would say it's not small, right? Not itty-bitty. Now, what's the price of this guy? So for this variant of it, well, actually, it might be for all of them, unless one of them's a little bit more expensive. But this is $349.99, so $350. That's going to be right in line with any locking knife that Jack Wolf does. He's had them at $350 since I think since whenever he first started them. Now a lot of people think that price is going to be too high, and Chinese knife, blah blah blah. I get that. At the same time, looking at some of the stuff that, like, I don't know, like take We for instance, right? We pumps out $350 all the time. They're also made in China. The difference is, though, is that Jack Wolf could have raised the price on this because he has a whole nother person he's collabing with. In this case, it's Cerberus Knives, right? He could have raised the price to make room for paying Cerberus Knives, but he didn't. He's taking the hit out of his own pocket, which I think is actually pretty cool, right? So because he can't take it's not like he's changing his OEM. It's not like he's able to, save money on the production side, right? He can't, because the cost is what it is. Like, whatever the OEM says it is that's what he has to pay. And I'm willing to bet his cost for this knife is going to be the same as any of his locking knives. So whenever he collabs with somebody, that person's pay is literally just coming out of Jack's profit. So, I mean, he could have raised the price up by $20, and, don't get me wrong, it's a lot of money, but at the same time, I would understand why. So the fact that he kept it at $349.99, I think, is pretty cool. And, it really comes down, like, before you're over 300, but when you're at the price point of 350, raw utility is something that has, taken a side seat, kind of, where if you wanted just pure utility, then you could have spent $50 or $100 to get it, right? So at this territory, it's a lot more about what speaks to you and what's important to you, right? So if the style speaks to you and you like, sub 7-inch knives, then this could be a perfect fit for you, and you wouldn't bat an eye at $350. Or you could be, a value shopper that wants the absolute best bang for your buck. Well, you're probably not gonna get that here, right? This is well within enthusiast territory, and Jack Wolf as a brand is incredibly popular. And I like to see that he's branching out with collaborations, because this isn't something that he would have came up with on his own. This is something he needed to collab for, something to, he wanted something to pull him out of his own wheelhouse. I think that's a brilliant idea, and I think this is a fantastic knife. There's something to be said for the user experience, and with this knife, yeah, okay, so like, we know it's titanium, we know that it's S90V, we know that stuff. But those knives where you just get them in hand and you're like, oh, now I get it, right? The Rosie was like that for me. Now, I'm not saying this is the Rosie or even on the same level as the Rosie, but this was another one of those knives where I picked it up and it feels completely different than any other Jack Wolf knife. And I'm referencing the locking knives specifically, but I had to pick this up and manipulate it some and flick it and listen to it. Oh, the overall user experience of this is greater than the sum of its parts. I've thoroughly enjoyed this knife. I think $350 is a fair price for it, for what you're getting. And for me, it would be user all day, especially with this finish. It takes scratches really, really well, and it just adds character to the knife. This would be a great office carry. Fidget monster. Yeah, I'm here for it. I dig it. So, down in the comments, let me know. Is this something that you would use? Is it something that would be added just to your collection? Or does this knife completely miss the mark for you? Let me know. I want to hear about it. Other than that, if you found the content entertaining or useful, hit the like button. Please do not forget to subscribe. Until the next time, guys, peace.